And we're live.
Hey guys, and welcome to Anichat. With me today, I have not Alex.
Always.
I have Day,
Hi.
and I have Rukus.
Hey, yo, what up?
I think I'm here, but I may not be mentally, so give me some time to catch up with everyone. All right, so today we're going to be talking about arcs and storytelling, which we did talk about last year. Uh, things are different from last year. Like the fact that all of us have probably read or watched more things that probably interest us. Um,
Nah, shonen trash.
I mean, like just because you watch the same six anime 12,000 times, Lucas, not me.
That's Hey, I wouldn't have to watch the same six anime like 12,000 times if there were other good anime.
You just gotta
I
look.
mean, are we gonna really go into a roast right now? Because I mean, we can, but I'd rather talk about traditional storytelling things, which is actually ironic because my sister is reading Macbeth, which is one of the few Shakespearean things I didn't read, and I just assumed that it ends like the rest of them, where everyone dies, and high
You're not
implications,
wrong.
very very high implications of incest, I assume, like most Shakespearean things.
I've actually had to read Macbeth, and you're not entirely wrong about that.
I mean, Shakespeare. Um,
Shakespeare's like Shakespeare's like the author of a comic got killed.
slaughtering everyone
Yeah,
pointlessly.
pretty
So
much.
my sister was like talking to me, and I'm not trying to be mean, but she was like, "Yo, the the ending of Romeo and Juliet didn't end that badly for everyone," and I'm like, "Excuse me." Like, I'm pretty sure Romeo's best friend dies. The warring clans are still at war, and then like the heirs both kill themselves. So
Have you ever seen the Romeo and Juliet anime?
but
Can we
no,
not?
you no, I haven't.
I haven't either. I was just wondering if anybody has.
This is I didn't even know there was one.
Oh, it was really popular back in like 2006, 2007. It was like a mid 2000 series.
Well, to be fair, 2006 and that era of time was a mistake for anime
It
because
seemed like 2006 when Bleach came out.
2006 is when the manga started for Fairy Tail, I believe. 2005.
2005.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That was around the era when things started to really change for long running series.
That was like when the big three were in their prime.
Yes, they were at their peak of popularity. Um, I was talking to Lucas about this the other day, but if you've noticed that just just for anime, uh, that storytelling has changed to be far more condensed in the 12 episodes, even in like stuff like the source material, because they know that if they get an adaptation, it's going to be seasonal. So like the stories are kind of reflecting with that, with a lot of shows being their problems are solved by the end of the episode, as if almost like it's a sitcom.
Has there ever been an American product that like an American series that wasn't seasonal?
Wasn't Ben 10?
No, Bentai
Pretty
was
sure.
seasonal.
Pretty sure. Well, technically everything has seasons. Because if you want to go there, Bleach is seasonal with 24 episode seasons with like 2 week breaks in between.
No, they took breaks from production after like 14 episodes of Ben 10, like every time.
Like just continuous. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
Probably,
like Naruto, Bleach, stuff like that, where they just keep making episodes every week.
uh, I have no idea because I don't. Because like that would probably happen probably more back when cartoons were more well respected and came out every week.
I
Currently, Western animation, like if you're not funny, then why am I watching you?
did did they take breaks in between books of Avatar?
Um, I don't know. I wasn't allowed to watch Avatar as a kid, so I would know.
Uh
Probably, I assume.
Actually, yeah, they took breaks for Korra, so yeah, I would assume they did too.
Yeah,
For
but Core
Avatar.
was done by Anime Studios as well.
It wasn't at first.
Oh, Period. Well, anyways,
It was done. It was done by Nickelodeon, and then they switched over to Period for whatever reason.
yeah, cross animation is becoming a lot more popular. On a less tangenty thing, what are some common styles of writing that you guys like? And by that I mean they can be like specific authors or just like the way series are presented. Like I know Lucas likes really likes world building type stuff. Other people like
Yeah.
more contained story. What about you guys?
What's his name? I think his name's like Patrick Rothfuss, something like that. Yeah, he wrote The Name of the Wind. He's a brilliant writer. Currently waiting on his third book. Um, what else did I like? I can't remember his name. But he's the guy. He wrote Fahrenheit 451,
Oh, I know who you're talking.
and he wrote a couple others that I've read that I really enjoyed. H.P. Lovecraft is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I've read quite a few of his things, so otherwise, I don't know. I can't really think of
Ray
many other authors.
Bradbury. Ray
Yeah,
Bradbury is the
yeah, it's Ray Bradbury.
see. Who wants to go next?
Um, I like detective fiction. Let's see. I mean, probably my favorite is Douglas Preston, Lincoln Child's Pendergast series.
You mean the thing you go on for 10 hours about whenever there's any new information on it? Like that one time
Yeah,
it got a TV show or something?
yeah, and that TV show got canceled, and that makes me sad.
Yeah.
So, rip. Yeah, so, you know, detective fiction, paranormal mystery. I tend to like low fantasy more than high fantasy. Um, so, there's that. Yeah, that's kind of a general scope of things.
For me, it depending on the type of series, I do like contained stories, like where they have a goal. Like for example, D. Grayman. D. Grayman and Fullmetal Alchemist have this overarching villain that they're trying to get to, even though Fullmetal Alchemist doesn't really know it at first, whereas Alan kind of figures out even before the series starts because of his particular situation. And there's no real, oh, like, well, what's after this? Well, after this, we have a normal life, really. Like, um, I also am a sucker for almost anything that involves swords. I do like simple but descriptive storytelling. So, like, when in a novel, when I'm reading, and like, they'll use something as simple as his blood felt like ice cubes or something simple like that. I kind of like that because I'm just like, you sometimes you just don't need to be complicated to get your point across. And I do enjoy sometimes the more simpler things because when I'm reading like 20 pages on why the wood is brown, sometimes I do get distracted. So yeah, that's just.
I'm gonna check that down as Gil's not a fan of Tolkien.
No.
Gonna move on.
Go on, Lucas.
I was gonna say that I like stories that have lots of time and time built into the world and the various locations and cultures within those locations.
You mean Patrick
Um,
Rothfuss?
and and I also like when the world building is so strong that stuff happens because every story has a main character or a main cast or whatever. But I like when stories or worlds rather that have stuff that go on in them that don't have to do with the main character all the time. Like I don't think the main character should always be the center of attention for every conflict and every in every situation. Um, I tend to like either fantasy, or really any kind of really, or stuff that has to do with supernatural, like ghost spirits, uh, stuff like that. But I'm not really too picky about anything. I generally enjoy like everything if I feel like it's well written enough. So yeah.
Gotcha. So for settings and stuff like that, which you guys like touched a little bit on, just a little bit, not too much, and what you guys were talking about. Uh, I said like probably countless times, but I like Gaslight fantasy and stuff like that. Which, speaking of which, I gotta go see Gaslight Batman. Oh, I have to. Gotham by Gaslight. Gotham by Gaslight. I can't. Um, like I really need to see it because like the DC animated films are on point, and it's got like a Gaslight setting for that type. Um, let's see for other types of settings. I am really conflicted on fantasy settings because sometimes modern fantasy is fantastic, other times it is unforgivably dreadfully boring. Whereas sometimes alternate timeline, post-apocalyptic or pre-civilization fantasy can be quite interesting, and at the same time horribly, dreadfully boring because of fantasy's such wide array of just handling topics. So yeah, I am kind of conflicted on how I feel about modern and alternate timeline type fantasy. So basically like the type of stuff that RPGs put out can be like amazing, like Golden Sun. Like I really like the Golden Sun world,
Fantastic.
even though there's stuff like werewolves, they're like, yeah, these are just furries, deal with it, and you're like, oh, okay. And then there are actual furries caused by the events in Golden Sun, and then you're like, well, what about the werewolves? And they're like, shh, there were no werewolves. um, let's see, what's another good example? Like Final Fantasy 15 is like a crossbreed of those two, modern fantasy and all like past. There's like open fields, and giant monsters because of like civilization, but at the same time they're like got like royal capitals and such, which is like an interesting take on the setting. It's similar to some of the other Final Fantasy games, and unique enough to be like, oh, this is cool.
Mm.
Let's see. Ooh, none of us have really brought up sci-fi. I should have said this. I really like War of the Worlds when I knew what was happening, because sometimes I'd read like 20 pages, and since I was in the 5th grade, my mind would have like left like 5 pages in, and I'd be like, oh crap, what did I just read? They're getting eaten by aliens now? And I don't think they actually ever got eaten, but there was this one particular part where they were in a ditch, and like someone went and looked down in the ditch, and then they got like slaughtered by an alien, and I was like, oh, why is this happening again? What did I miss? I thought they were just in town. But, distractions though. Anyone else like any particularly sci-fi settings? in specific?
Let's see. Star Ocean, got to be one of my favorite RPG series of all time. Is blatant sci-fi. So that's pretty good. Fate Extra is Type Moon does sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also really dank.
When you're in an ocean on the moon.
Let's see. Obviously, Star Wars is a thing.
Yeah. I was expecting a Star Trek somewhere in there, so I'm gonna hold out. Just wait.
Well, to be completely real here, Star Ocean is Star Trek as an RPG.
Gotcha. Pretty sure everyone likes Star Wars. If you don't like most of the movies, you probably like The Empire Strikes Back at least, because you don't get that type of ooh, the villains did this in a movie series usually. Why? But there are some people who swear against The Empire Strikes Back, so I may have to rescind that statement. But yeah, I believe most people have somewhat positive opinion of it.
Star Fox.
You like the Star Fox first? I've never actually played a Star Fox.
No. The Star Fox verse is literally just like, because how Star Fox works is that you're in an aircraft the entire time, so you really get to see, or like any of the planets you visit through, you're just like flying through the sky being attacked by a billion shit. But so I do like the Metro universe though.
I was gonna say, is there like no Metroid? Because I was like, ooh.
Does Kirby count?
Kirby is sci-fi, yeah, but it's also heavily fantasy. It's sci-fi fantasy, actually.
Yeah, it's Kirby.
Like, Kirby travels the galaxy just doing stuff because Kirby's broken his Worldcraft. It's like a world star that's faster than light. He can,
I like it because it's fun.
Kirby can go to like different planets in like a second. Yeah, it's fun. Does anyone in this call think Kirby games aren't fun?
I don't think anyone thinks Kirby games aren't fun.
Day, did you say you haven't played Kirby games?
I haven't played a single Kirby game unless you include Smash. In that case.
Kill yourself.
Day, you poor baby. I'm going to have to expose you to Smash.
Oh.
That's not Kirby. I'm going to have to sit you down and just have you play Kirby. But they're really just fun. Like, you don't even have to... Like, alright, I'm gonna explain the plot of Kirby games in one sentence, and it's not even spoilers. Kirby is sitting there minding his own business, someone messes with the food he's getting to eat, and then crap goes down.
It's kind of the gist of what I've seen.
What's a darn shame.
Yeah. It's just a fun franchise.
It's really just... It's mindless fun. You don't have to think too hard. If you were like a big platformer like fan, I'd say like just pick up the Squeak Squad and just go play it. Or like 15. But
does Mario the Galaxy count? No.
Mario Galaxy counts as sci-fi, but like that sounded more like, does mayonnaise count as an instrument?
God.
Alright, so
that's because in Mario Galaxy, whenever you go to a different planet, it's literally just like if you were just on like the same Mario planet you've always been on.
Hey man, at least the overworld was nice, where you just sit on a freaking king planet. Let's see. Anything you guys have experienced recently where you're like, ooh, that was a really good art?
Art?
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't say recently, but a couple days ago I was put in a situation where I tried to justify to someone who hasn't played Nier Automata why Nier Automata, which is also a sci-fi game, is absolutely freaking fantastic. And, that conversation lasted about 90 minutes of me just gushing about how good that game is.
And then another 10 minutes later.
I feel like every time Day whispers, a little bit of passive aggressive steam escapes her mouth, but I can't tell what she's saying, so I don't know.
I mean,
She could be calling us punks like the whole time and just trash talking. I wouldn't know. I'd be like, oh, Day's just being Day. I don't know what she's saying.
I'm
Probably
not
be on
saying
my
anything bad. I can assure you that.
Let's see. Nier Automata is that's quite interesting arcs, though. Oof. If you play the other Nier games, it kind of gives away a major plot point.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, because Shiro played like since Drakengard, which props to him, by the way. Because from what I hear, that game can range from fantastic to utter garbage. So, he essentially just has to suck it up and eat the lie. Also, Kiryu's joined the hangout, so I assume he'll be in call in like a few seconds. Right, so you have to just suck it up and eat the lie that they tell you, and you're like, oh, okay, and then halfway through, like, we've been lying this whole time, and then if you play the other games, that's like, well, that lie wasn't so, convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Though there is a lot of Easter eggs for the other games that I didn't realize, like.
Oh yeah, but a lot of it is stuff you have to do like late in the game.
Yeah.
Following like obscure side quests and stuff.
Speaking of which,
is cool. I mean, like that.
I still have to do all the DLC stuff that I haven't done because I just haven't played Nier Automata. Like I haven't played. Like for example, 2B's revealing outfit is just another character's outfit from the last couple games, which is hilarious.
Yep.
See what's another good. Well, recently I've been binge watching D Gray Man, and D Gray Man is like 7 times better than what I remember it being.
Okay.
It's super good.
I stopped halfway because the dub stopped halfway because Funimation back then didn't have the money to keep pumping out 100-episode series. So it stopped like 54 episodes into the dub, and then Funimation, now that Funimation's a juggernaut anime producing monster that it is, it can just go like, hey guys, remember how D Gray Man only stopped halfway through with that dub? Guess who licensed seasons 3, 4, and 5 because a new season came out? Because we can do that now. So they just recently dubbed season 3. Dub is on point. I think it was better than the dub that they did back initially. Some roles may have been changed, but I think they were only side characters that got changed. I'm going to have to rewatch the first 54 episodes of D Gray Man, or maybe just like after the first 10, like the first 3 volumes. But the arc that I was on was about Alan, and pretty good MC arc, because most MC arcs are legit just, oh, this MC needs to get stronger for this villain, and like that's it. And that's like the constant trope and a problem a lot of people have with certain series. And this one examines Alan's psyche and mental state. Another good arc recently. Oh, yeah, me and Lucas are watching the Accelerator arc from Mika's standpoint. Oh, God. And if we could freaking finish it. maybe we could talk about it. From Mika's perspective, it's a little more interesting because there's more fights that Misuka has to go through that I can't spoil, but I think you'll enjoy it, Lucas. Because it introduces someone who's like on the same power level as Misuka, so you can actually just be like, hey, look, it's not Misuka destroying this person with a mech suit. She's like one of the top 5 espers in the world. So,
Yeah. I
um,
mean, I'm probably gonna like it anyway, just because it has Accelerator in it.
Accelerator is great. So, recent art. So, what have I read recently? That isn't manga. Well, then again, I read Index, a light novel about the Accelerator arc. Like it. Which basically is just the same as when I was talking about it in the anime. So, if you count the Uncharted games as their own arc, if you look at Uncharted as one big story from all 4 games, then every arc on Uncharted just gets better. I love them. Anyone else have any other arcs recently that they want to talk about? Doesn't have to be recent stuff, just stuff that you've seen recently or rewatched. Or reread. Or redesigned, got like epic powers.
Phantom Troop arc was pretty good. The only thing that the only recent arc that I've experienced that I thought was pretty good was one from the My Hero Academia manga.
Oh, gotcha.
So I don't want to go in depth on that. Other than that, well, I rewatched some clips from Soul Society recently. Nice.
Am I still in call?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, because everyone's background noise vanished, and I was like, gas. Okay. So, anyone watch anything new recently? Because, I know you may watch stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's like the art that they're doing.
I'm keeping up with Fate Extra anime.
I have to get back on the Garden. Evergarden, whatever it's called. Violet Evergarden.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You mean recreating?
Yeah, I have to watch Recreators too.
I have like 12 series that I started and need to finish. Like, I stopped all of them halfway through, and I'm like, man, you are so much less enticing when there's a big, like, 12-episode wall ahead of me.
Since Kiyo is here, has anything good been happening in Marvel recently?
For the most part, Marvel Legacy has been pretty cool.
Yeah, he's right.
Is that a title?
That's the current banner that they're, on.
Because comics need a new banner every 10 seconds, or else they might explode. Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't read it.
Pretty much.
I haven't read anything Marvel since Secret Empire.
They're doing
back in the 70s.
No.
Same.
The recent.
Okay. Is someone talking right now? I can't tell.
No.
Okay, it got silent. I was like, oh no, did I cut out again? Okay. So what I was gonna say is, people rag on DC for going through like 4 banners in like the last 6 years. And I'm like, but Marvel went through like 3 in the last 4 years. What the heck? Because like they went through Marvel Now and then like a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, man, DC just gets crap because people like Marvel stuff so much. I'm just like, comics can't help themselves because the rebranding lets them just do stuff with characters that they normally wouldn't able to do because the writers never seem to like what the last writer did.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's always a problem because, like, one writer will be like, let's make this story, like, super deep and complex, and then the next episode, there's, Superman punching through space-time.
Man, imagine if manga were written by multiple authors during their run.
I mean...
That doesn't sound fun at all.
It sounds...
No, it doesn't.
It sounds like it stopped being linear at one point. And just, like...
The only series I could see that working for is probably Dragon Ball.
That's because that actually happened to Dragon Ball. So, like... But it's not, like, consistently different writers. It's just a writer every time there's something that's not Z, because Akira Toriyama's like, I mean, I don't want to write more Dragon Ball, and I said I didn't want to write more Dragon Ball back in the 90s. It's 2018. Leave me alone. But you're still paying me, right? And they're like, yep. And he's like, okay.
But now he's cool because he doesn't have to draw anything.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he appreciates not having to draw stuff he doesn't want to draw when he's like
now he just sit back and get that cash.
Yeah, maybe he plays Dragon Quest with Togashi. That's why nothing ever happened.
I mean, he draws for the game. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Kia, how many chapters do you give it before Togashi goes back on a hiatus?
I give it like 10.
You mean
you right?
The Dragon Quest game comes out, which comes out this year. I guarantee he's trying to write it so he can play that game.
Yeah, he'd probably go up to a volume. That's what he always does. It's like 12 chapters?
Anyone who doesn't understand right now, Togashi is the guy who wrote Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, and he's notorious for going on long, undeserved breaks sometimes. And by undeserved, I mean he needs to finish his stuff before he can be like, I want to retire and play Dragon Quest all day. Because, like, yeah, I get it. If he, like, went on a break after Yu Yu Hakusho, they're like, yeah, that's well deserved. You wrote your long series, you got your money, you did your hard work. But if you're, like, writing a series, which is why I beat myself up about not being consistent about when I wrote the chapter. Going on...
I mean, he may just cut Hunter x Hunter short, because that's what he did to Yu Yu Hakusho.
I believe it. He did, like, what, a 5-year hiatus at one point? Like...
For Hunter x Hunter, I think the longest he did was, like, almost 3 years.
Oof. Oh, it must have been D. Grayman that had the 5 years. I know D. Grayman stopped for a long.
Yeah, everything I like goes on hiatus.
Kaze no Stigma's on permanent hiatus because, the author's in the Soul Society.
Kaze no Stigma, rest in peace.
But at least we get Full
Rest in peace.
Full Metal Panic. Essentially Kaze no Stigma with Max. Let's go.
Yep.
That doesn't sound as good, though.
That is the silver lining, actually. Because you can just pretend that Full Metal Panic is Kaze no Stigma, like, season 3.
The character interactions are varied. And
I actually like Kazuma.
have you seen Full Metal Panic?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't like Sosuke Saga? Sosuke Saga is a living legend.
Yes.
Quite literally the anime Looney Tunes equivalent of just the stuff that happens in his life because of the stupid decisions he makes. Like in Fufumu, he goes to the beach and brings an actual RPG.
the hitting the watermelon scene. Oh my god.
It's just the gags that happen with Sosuke, even if you don't like Sosuke's character, are just so interesting. But did you see the second raid, Lucas? Fullmetal Panic, the second raid?
No.
You need to, because that actually is a far more serious take on everything that happens in Fullmetal Panic. It also gives you a peek into how Sosuke thinks. And there's a particular scene where you're like, Sosuke, no. Oof.
Kiyoya, is that series done by the Inuyasha author? Is that still going?
No, it just ended this last December.
What is that show even about?
It's
Okay.
Inuyasha but boring.
No. Okay, so I forget what it's called, but there's basically this circle of life. If you die, you get on it, and then you get reborn.
So it's
There's
Disney's Inuyasha.
I mean, yeah. There's this kid, the main character. He's I forget what they call it in this. I think they call it Shinigami, but he's half Shinigami, half human. And his whole thing is basically to help these dead people pass on and get reincarnated. And that's how the series starts out. And he meets this girl who can see them too, and so she's able to see him doing their work and everything. And that's basically how it starts out.
So like every supernatural anime, because supernatural anime needs Jesus. Quite
Exactly. And it was funny to me because one of his things is it reminded me a lot of Noragami because he always wears a tracksuit, and to do favors for people, he asks for money at his shrine. And I was just watching, I was like, this is like a combination of so many things. But yeah.
Man, the author of Noragami should sue.
Well, it started before Noragami did, so.
Oof, exposing Noragami for what it is. If anyone didn't know, I actually watched Noragami Season 1 recently with Lucas and Kiyoya. And I was not roasting it for like the first 6 episodes. And then Kiyoya goes, yo, why are you not saying anything? And I said, I promise not to roast it. And he's like, I'd rather you roast it than be silent.
You didn't sound like you had a horrible time watching it, though.
Oh no, I just the best arc was only good for 2 episodes, and the best arc being the blonde-haired boy's redemption. Did I say 2 episodes? I meant the episode where he apologizes. 1 episode. That was probably the best episode in the whole show for season 1. And if you disagree, you can fight me. I can't think of more.
That is the best.
Yeah, because like the other episodes were all kind of like episode of the week sort of thing, and I felt like that they were just dilly-dallying.
Season 2 is so much better. Oh my goodness.
Season 2 is so much better.
I mean, I probably like
that's because
then I liked My Hero Academia season 1. Probably. Yeah, actually, yeah.
The thing about the beginning of Noragami is that it does a lot of like introducing you to a bunch of different characters and like their connections with the main characters, and then like all that builds up to like stuff that happens in season 2.
The first season felt like a really long first 3 episodes. Like Kisame or whatever his name is, the dude with Kisame and Zabuza's power. That guy.
Rabo.
Oh yeah. The guy who's like the 7 Miss Swordsman guy. Yeah, I'm gonna call him the 8th member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Myth. Yeah, him. Man, he was just shoehorned in there because they're like, hey, we need like a conclusion fight, and this guy exists. And then they're like, yo, let's throw him in here for just this reason. Ooh, that is something I don't like.
Because he's not in the manga, but he has a manga chapter, like a spin-off chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, Put him in the anime. We need like 2 more episodes.
By the way, Alex.
Yep.
I was following that Lily who never talks to us. Yeah, her. She said they're making a sequel to Carnival Phantasm, and I haven't seen anything on it. Did you hear anything through the phone line about that?
Just rumors,
Okay.
but it's nothing substantive enough for me to even speculate.
Isn't the 20th anniversary coming up this year? Because didn't like Heart no Kyokai first get written in like 98 or something?
Nasu wrote Kara no Kyokai, I think it was after Old Fate, but before Tsukihime.
Yeah.
And when did Tsukihime come out, actually?
That was like 2001. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But I thought it was 2001?
2000.
2000? Oh, that was close.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
just
Speaking of which,
rumors is what it comes down to.
yeah, how do people like parody anime and like gag anime? Good example, Sakamoto. Sakamoto parodied all those slice of life stuff.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just so hilarious.
I like Assassination Classroom.
I gotcha. Yoya, you got anything you specifically like that parody? Say Squirrel Girl, I'm going to have to unadd you. I'm kidding.
Kia doesn't like anything unless it's blowing up. I'm just kidding. I say you don't like anything unless it's blowing up.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
Assassination Classroom was good. I remember being really surprised when they announced that it was coming to an end. It was like we just got started, but okay.
Pretty sure the author didn't want to extend the manga way longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, it ended at a pretty good time. It's really funny.
They got any parodies that you like?
I can't really think of any.
Can we count JoJo as a parody of Fist of the North Star?
I mean, can we count Looney Tunes as a parody of Western animation? It's
kind of
Western culture in general. So I mean,
I was more of a Tom and Jerry guy myself.
Tom and Jerry is hilarious. So is Looney Tunes. I know people who dislike Looney Tunes but like Tom and Jerry, and like Looney Tunes but dislike Tom and Jerry, and I can't comprehend that. And I'm like, you guys realize that it's like that's the same slapstick humor in it. It's just Looney Tunes has way more offensive comedy.
Exactly.
See, Looney Tunes has way more offensive comedy, but Tom and Jerry is way more violent with its slapstick.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. It's a good modern parody because like it's really hard to pull off these days because like you're either not funny or like you're funny but no one gets your joke because you're too obscure. Like the best parody I've seen like the last couple of years is Sakamoto because Sakamoto's like just so funny. So funny. I gotta show you guys it. Day, you haven't seen Sakamoto, right?
I have not.
You need to. I'll show you too. I have to show everyone who's not watching this call. Okay, so when I first saw the first episode of Sakamoto, I watched it like 4 times because I was showing multiple people Sakamoto. I showed Toma, I showed Kira, I showed Alex, and then I watched it once myself. It was so good that Alex actually had the initiative to watch it all himself.
Yep.
Which do you guys prefer, like Looney Tunes or like old like Disney cartoons like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and stuff like that?
I want to say Looney Tunes, but I also love the classics. So
I've got to go Disney animation on this one.
Hard choice.
I go Looney Tunes because, well, it is quite impressive to do the stuff that Disney was doing at the time. Looney Tunes just makes me laugh, and that's just very valuable to me. That doesn't get old. Whereas I can't watch like some of the older Disney stuff like on loop, whereas I can just watch Looney Tunes because it's like mindless fun.
I like Looney Tunes. I like Looney Tune characters more in general than I like Disney.
Bugs
Yeah.
Bunny solos. What you mean?
Bugs Bunny is quite literally a legend. I will choose him over Mickey Mouse any day because unless you're talking
Bugs
Kingdom
Bunny.
Hearts.
Okay,
Kingdom
comparing
Hearts-
Bugs Bunny to Mickey Mouse, it's like comparing Sonic to Mario. Bugs Bunny is just cooler. Like Sonic is just cooler than Mario.
Yeah, well, I don't understand how Mario has a gut if all he does is run and jump all day. Like, that dude puts in work. Why isn't he rich?
I mean,
It's not like he sits at home doing nothing. He freaking travels like... He travels galaxies at one point. Just
maybe he doesn't have a healthy diet.
It's all the lasagna.
It's racist.
Oh my god. Yeah, all that Mario disrespect, Nintendo, I see you. Also, they keep making his love interest more out of his league, and I'm like, you know, you can give Mario, like, some ass. He deserves it. In, like, what, 30, 40 years? 30, 40 years? Like, come on, man. He deserves something. Not just, like, him being compared to his brother, and he's the famous one, even though Luigi has better stats in, like, every game that he gets.
That's actually really sad. The more I think about that.
At least Luigi gets his own game, so Nintendo respects Luigi a little, just a little. Anyone who plays Mansion games? Because I have.
Oh, the Mansion games are great. Well, I
Oh, yeah,
played
they are.
Mansion 1. I haven't played the 3DS one.
Okay. I've always been behind on tech, so I never ever got to play current games. Like when the PS4 came out, I still had a PS2 for a while. I didn't even have the PS3.
Would anybody want a official Nintendo game on Zelda where Zelda is the main protagonist instead of Link?
I would play that.
Pretty sure a lot of people would play it. It's just that.
I want that.
Who is the? Are we removing Link from the game, or are we making him the damsel in distress, or like what's his goal? Because the Triforce is still a thing. Or are we replacing him?
What does Link do for Link?
Link farms and then hangs.
It doesn't
out.
have to be in the game.
Link farms and hangs out with pretty girls in his spare time. So I mean.
Yeah, Link is just a normal human being for once, or alien.
A Zelda game without Link, though.
Ooh.
But like,
I mean, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to involve the Triforce. It could be a branch off.
Just Zelda has OP wizard powers with a bow. Deal with it.
Is it Wand of Gamelon?
Zelda's really powerful.
Yes, I know. Got OP wizard powers. I'm pretty sure she is.
But like I said, like Minish Cap doesn't really have anything to do with the Trinity, so you don't really have to include Link or Ganon.
I mean, yeah, but Ganon is like quite literally a Nintendo fetish. Like,
Unless you like make a plot where like Ganondorf like deals like the Triforce of Courage from Link, and then like Zelda just has to fight off Ganon, even though he has 2 Triforces and she has 1.
or you could do a storyline Link and Zelda are childhood friends, and then like, Link in this timeline doesn't like fighting. He's like a pacifist, and Zelda, decides to fight in his stead.
Yeah.
Just wants
Make
to
a branch
fight.
off title with the mailman.
Yo, that mailman should have his own temple.
with Oh, that'd be awesome. but like the main objective is the game is for him to just deliver his mail to all three holders of the Triforce.
Is it bad that I want more Zelda games in the style of Twilight Princess? I do.
A lot of people want more Zelda games in the style of Twilight Princess.
It's like, that's all I want. The Link they were using for Smash and still kind of used for Smash, like, my guy, hook me up.
The thing with Twilight Princess, though, even though I love Twilight Princess, I love the aesthetic of it, is that since it uses like more realistic graphics, it makes it look like every other fantasy series for the most part, with the exception of the character designs.
It's just stylized. It's not more realistic. It's just a different style.
I'd argue the textures, though, they are attempting to mimic.
Okay, if we're going textures, that's something else, though. Or if we're going basic design.
That counts for designs because that's the textures.
Suppose.
That's quite literally shown in character designs. You don't just leave out textures when talking about art, especially video games. I'm not trying.
My main point being that, with the exception of the characters, it looks like every other fantasy game. So I kind of like the whole cel shaded watercolor style that they did with Breath of the Wild, because it makes it stand out more from other fantasy games.
See, I don't play other fantasy games, so I really don't care. It's the problem. Because like other games that I play usually are fantasy, are very stylized, but I do like the pseudo realistic, but still has the good old Nintendo cartoonish feel that Twilight Princess is. Twilight Princess carries like this medieval anime style thing that it has going on. To point out what Jay said, like, it is stylized. Yes, I would argue that like other stuff in there is most definitely at least. Jay, how many Zelda games did you play? Now you got me thinking about what Nintendo games have you. Still probably more than me.
Is this the part where somebody screams out Ocarina of Time is the best game ever?
I mean, I thought Mario Odyssey was the best Zelda game.
Which one?
Odyssey?
Mario Odyssey was the best.
Mario. You're not even trying now.
Metroid is the best Zelda game.
Now, if you like, I don't know, Fire Emblem was the best Zelda game. That would at least make a little more sense since they're both in like medieval settings,
what
kind
you're
of.
talking about? Have you seen Sword, Kirby?
Oh Lord.
Have you ever played heard of Star Fox Adventures?
No.
Yeah.
It's literally like a Zelda game if you just replace Link with Star Fox.
Oh. Mario RPG is my favorite Fire Emblem game.
I mean, Mario RPG is actually pretty good, so.
Mario RPG is like top 10 video games for a lot of people. I have never played it, nor have I ever seen gameplay.
It's Square and Nintendo, and it is a really good game. Link is actually in that game.
I believe it. Link is supposed to be in Golden Sun. He has an unused character sprite.
He's an RPG. Him and Samus are both sleeping in a hotel.
Oh. I assume you mean not together.
No. And Samus is wearing her suit while she's sleeping for whatever reason.
Hey man, it would be hard to pixelate that.
Like yeah, I do like the Twilight Princess aesthetic too. I think what Nintendo should do is alternate between the two styles with every installment. But if they had to choose, one style, I would prefer it to be like the Breath of the Wild style. Because one, I think it makes it look unique from a lot of other fantasy games, and the other thing is that it's easier to make HD remakes. With those type of graphics, as proven with Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, which doesn't look as good as Wind Waker HD at all.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And to end this on a storytelling note, how does what is the writing process that everyone goes through for writing their story? Like, do you pre-write? Do you plan? This is open to anyone.
I planned for 700 million years.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
what?
know you thought.
Me personally, I plan everything before, like I plan months in advance before I write anything, and usually once I know what I'm gonna do, I don't usually need to plan anymore from that point on, until I get to a new arc,
Mm-hmm.
and then I start planning again. And I usually save everything like important that I write in my story. I save it. I copy and paste it on like a Google Drive with the chapter that information came from, so I can always remember it, and I don't have like a bunch of different plot holes going on.
Basically, basically what I do is, because I like to, I usually start out on notebook paper with like a pen, and I write down the basic idea of what everything's going to be, the basic like description of the characters, where I want the story to go, and then once I have all that down, then I start into like the beginning arc and everything. And once I feel I have like the start of the story set out all right, then that's when I start to writing, like in a document and everything. And usually, I'm pretty good with that. You know, I make extra folders and notes on my computer, like here's a list of this so you don't forget it, so you don't, write thought holes and everything like that.
Do you still use Word?
Yeah.
You need to stop that. Cut that out.
The other day, he freaked out because his computer used other than he was typing.
But you can write on Wattpad. Why do you still?
There was there was an update for Windows, and it kept getting me to do it, and I'm like, no, 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 over and over again. And so finally, it was just like, guess what? We're updating in 5 minutes. Have fun.
Windows is always doing some update shit on you. You go in and it's like, yo, you got to update, and then you're like, no, and then Windows is like, well, you better update,
Oh my
else.
goodness.
The way I plan ahead for my arcs is, basically, I put on music, and then like I just sit there and I'm like, okay, so I have to do this before this. So what's gonna happen? And that's how I brainstorm every single arc. I force myself to think about it until I have a beginning, middle, and end to each of it. I have tried writing it down before, but I end up throwing away the papers because I hate every single thing that I've ever. I've done that at least 3 times. So like, basically, I never keep any of my old stuff for reference because I never want to look at it again, because as I get older, I just get more and more disgusted.
I watch a lot of AMVs when I'm brainstorming, just because my series is heavily influenced on anime and shonen in particularly, so it just gets me in the mood to write stuff.
All right, and with Lucas saying that he is a anime nerd, I think it's time to end Anichat. With me today, I've got Alex.
Heyo.
I've had today.
Hmm?
Trying to put 2 beats and then I said I had today.
That's quiet.
Yeah, because my mic was kind of away from my face.
Rip.
Sorry. I've had Lucas.
Peace out.
I've had Kiyoya.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
And I think I was here. I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
You've been a ghost the entire time.
Yeah. I don't even think I'm alive anymore. So yeah, I think we can end it with that.
All right. Peace.